Welcome back to Foodie Down Bronx. I'm your host, the Hungry Dominican. Our next guest is a Bronx-based fashion designer and one half of the founding duo of BRONXNATIVE. She is one of the most noticeable and most celebrated Bronx residents in the borough and a fashion icon, if I must say so myself. As one of many creatives selected to collaborate with Nike and Cultivator, she has recently created a sneaker called the 718, celebrating all things Bronx, with hip-hop just having celebrated its 46th birthday. Our guest is making another case for why the Bronx really is the center of the pop culture world. Welcome to the show, Roselyn Grullon.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for appearing on my show. There's so much we have to talk about.
Yes.
Right. So we're gonna go through like this bullet list of points. But the first thing, of course, is I'd like for you to tell me and the audience about yourself.
So my name is Roselyn Grullon. I'm 24. Right now, I'm currently a fashion student at Parsons, the New School of Design, and I'm also co-founder of BRONXNATIVE, the streetwear brand. And I'm from Longwood.
From Longwood.
Yes.
Oh, hello, Longwood. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about BRONXNATIVE. We won't spend too much time on it, but you were a huge part of that brand when it was starting. Mm-hmm. And I'd like for you to break down what exactly your responsibilities were when you were at BRONXNATIVE and flash forwarding to now where you're not actually involved with BRONXNATIVE anymore. So could you take me through that little ride?
So I was co-founder. Mm-hmm. Basically, if it wasn't for me, the brand wouldn't exist. Mm-hmm. But design-wise, everything, I was involved with everything. The logo, the design, the packaging, the events, the managing of the shop, the way the shop looks, right. Basically everything, right. You know.
So if I walked into that shop, that would be mostly your sort of details and your...
Well, both partnership with me and my brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so you actually left BRONXNATIVE earlier this year.
I did.
So the beginning of 2019, you decided that you wanted to and sort of go on your own journey, your own path.
Yeah, I just feel like my time was up there already. Just the way the brand is, like moving forward, I feel like the way I feel about certain things, you know, just was an agreement. And even design-wise, like, I didn't see a future there, you know? So I decided, you know, like, let me just do my own thing.
So you felt maybe artistically you were sort of being pulled down, or you just were capped, and you kind of wanted to continue doing your own thing.
And even like politics-wise as well. Just the way we think, you know, who we want to be involved with, what we want to create. You know, I feel like it wasn't, I have just another perspective of what I wanted to do.
Have you always been interested in fashion's relationship with politics, or did it become a thing where working at BRONXNATIVE sort of opened your eyes to that?
I guess BRONXNATIVE was like the first thing that I did dealing with that, but I've always been interested in it. And you know, like fashion isn't this superficial, shallow thing. It's not just about the way it looks and, you know, luxury brands. It can be used for something big, you know, revolutions, change, social change. And, you know, I just feel like that's super important. And I've always been interested in doing that.
Right.
And BRONXNATIVE was kind of like that first thing that I used for that, like the first tool, the first kind of clothes I used for that mentality. And I feel like now I don't think it's about that. Right. It's more about what sells, which is, you know, is understandable. It is a business. But I just wanted more when it comes to that.
So you wanted to deliver a message through fashion. You wanted to make pieces that spoke to people, not just look good on them.
Yeah.
So you were allowed to do that for a little bit, I'm assuming, at BRONXNATIVE, and then maybe there was a point where you felt, like you said, right now, it's just more about commercialism, selling as many things as you can't, being sort of neutral on any political issues, right? And just creating something that looks good on people.
Definitely.
And that to you was not enough.
That wasn't enough. And I just feel like we can do both. Like, yeah, we can sell, but what we sell should be like something, you know, is good quality, actually will make a difference. Right. And we can speak up on issues, especially like in the Bronx. Like, we have so many issues we can talk about and deal with. But I feel like we weren't doing that.
So I'm assuming you've been in the Bronx all your life. You've been here since day one, basically.
Yeah.
And you've seen a lot of things, of course, happen throughout your lifetime. A lot of changes to certain neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And you know, there's always that word gentrification, which is a subject that it's always, I'm always hesitant to bring up to people, but it's always interesting to get into that conversation because, you know, it's a never-ending conversation. There's really no sort of, there's no conclusion to this because it's happening so often, so fast to so many people. Has it affected you personally, even before maybe you were part of the Bronx Native? Do you have any friends or family that have been through it and have actually been affected hardcore by new developers coming in, rezoning laws, anything like that?
Not yet, but I know, like I live in Longwood, on my area already, like Sunday Boulevard, I don't know if you guys know, the Double Discount.
Yeah.
Like that's like my neighborhood.
Right.
And you see all the shops are closing down there. That's closed down already. So I feel like now I'm seeing it like so close to home. And then of course, you know, the Bronx Native shop is in Mawhaven.
Right.
Like that whole area, like 139th. So I saw, you know, everything change. I saw all the new stuff opening up. You know, I saw, let's be honest, like I saw all the white people come in. I saw all of that. But I mean, right now, thank God, I don't know anyone that's been displaced.
Right.
But, you know, I have seen the displacement of culture at times, and I have seen things be whitewashed already. So, yeah.
Do you think that, we touched lightly upon this before we started recording, but I was like, hold up, let's talk about this on the show. So with gentrification, and you know, it does show in your fashion how you want to speak about gentrification. But gentrification is something that I feel like it's happening, right? It's not something that I feel like it's going to be stopped. We could always push back on it and delay certain things, but I think overall it's something that is going to happen. It's happened to my old neighborhood in Washington Heights. It's completely changed. And while there is still a very vibrant Dominican culture in Washington Heights, it's dwindling by the minute, basically. It seems like it is. When do people who are dealing with gentrification, when do they start owning, not the fact that it's happening, but when is it a good time for them to start pushing back? Because I feel like sometimes people in these neighborhoods just let it happen and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to get together and push back. Is it a thing where you just have to sort of deal with it? Or do you really have to make this pact to push back with people that are on your side? What do you feel like? You just feel like you have to sort of lay back and, you know, it's inevitable? Or do you feel like there is reasoning to go and push back up against it?
Well, I feel like if people, you know, could do something about it, like if they have the resources, if they know what to do, if they have the knowledge, information, because, you know, we can easily say like, yo, like own your own business, own your own house, but we know it's not simple like that. But if there is people that can do that, like they should be doing that.
Right.
I mean, that's how, you know, we can protect our own.
Right.
You know, we have to be opening these new businesses.
I think that's where it gets tricky for a lot of people, though. It's, you know, it's where do you get the money from? Who's behind the money? Who do you associate yourself with? I think that's the trickier part because, yeah, somebody can come up and be like, hey, you know, here, open up your restaurant, do your thing. But it's at a point now where I can't just be like, okay, cool, I'm going to do this because I can. It's more about like, well, where are you coming from? What are your intentions? And honestly, politically, how does it make sense for me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely, that's a big thing, like politics-wise. Like, we have to just know what's happening,
Right.
who our politicians are, who are we voting for, and push them. Like, they're the ones allowing all this to happen. You know, think about my own mom. If my mom was to ever be kicked out, like, she doesn't know about gentrification like that.
Right.
You know, like we have, our generation have to teach the older generations. And, you know, they're the ones that vote mostly, let's be honest, the older generation. And we're going to tell them, like, this is what's happening. Don't vote for this person. Or we have to just push the politicians.
Yeah,
they got to be on our side.
I see that discrepancy between, like, your generation and older ones in which, you know, so many of us have parents who came here for us. And they just wanted to give us a life. They didn't really get involved too strongly into the politics or what made sense for what. It was just mostly like, all right, I have my family here, I'm going to provide for them, and then there's a whole new generation that came up in, you know, around your time, my time, where it's like now we're paying attention to exactly what our parents maybe should have before, because it affects everybody, you know, so differently. But we're gonna get back into gentrification a little bit. I actually wanted to talk about your photography.
Yeah.
In my notes it says, never quite considered yourself a photographer, but has great work. Why wouldn't you consider yourself a photographer?
I don't know. This is I know so many, like professional photographers. Like they do that as a career. It's like super serious for them. Like that's their work. That's their life.
Right.
For me, it's more like a hobby. Like I do it for fun just because I like it.
But I still think you can like develop your skill if it's just a hobby. I think if you start making it a little bit too seriously and start like, because for me personally, it's like I love photography. I love landscape photography. I love portraits, but I was sort of like down on myself. I was like, oh, I've seen all these amazing photographers.
Yeah,
I can never,
that's how I feel.
I can't do what they do. I don't know the technicalities of anything or whatever. And then honestly, somebody was like, listen, just take your camera and start shooting. Like, don't overthink it. And then you sort of just do your own thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't be hard on yourself.
Thank
You're
you.
a photographer. Don't say you're not. But what type of photography do you have? Like, if I go to your Instagram page, your own, am I going to get to see all the photography that you think you're not good enough to take?
I'm trying to post now.
Okay.
My photos now.
Okay.
I love shooting just like Bronx people, like in my neighborhood, like family, friends. Just like really just like real life,
So you like shooting like candids, like sort of like people just doing their thing.
Yeah.
And then you're sort of in the background taking your camera.
Also just like the neighborhood, like anywhere in the Bronx, and just showing like, this is the true beauty.
Yeah.
And or just like showing the beauty in the gritty stuff. I love doing that.
I do spend a lot of time on Instagram looking at, I'll look up like certain hashtags and I'll see a lot of the landscapes of the Bronx. And there's like a serene quality to it, like a really chill quality when I look at some of the Bronx landscapes, because it's mostly like either a sunrise or a sunset, or like a sprinkler open and somebody in the middle of it, and it just like evokes all these summertime, chill, like familiar vibes.
And just also like showing like Bronx culture as well.
Yes.
Like bodegas, people with a fire. Pump with the water, all of that, like just showing that real culture, the real Bronx.
One of the many great things about social media is that if you do get a collection of those types of photos, like where it shows family or barbecues or sprinklers open or sunset sunrises in the Bronx, it always seems like it's something that so many people can relate to. It just feels like something that makes sense, right? That's why I spent so much time like looking at all the pictures. All right, let's take a quick break. Guys, we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Foodie Down Bronx. I'm your host, M, the Hungry Dominican. I'm joined on set by Roselyn Grullon. So let's get to talking about these really amazing sneakers that you collaborated with Nike and Cultivator. You actually have them on, so if you can pan down to, there you go, the entire interview you had these sneakers on, and these are of course the sneakers on the table here. So I know that the colors actually are significant. They're not just on the sneakers for no reason, and they actually deal with not just the Bronx, of course, 718, but gentrification as well. And by all means, please tell me a little bit more.
So basically, some of the color scheme is based on the Bronx flag, blue, orange, and white, which are also the New York colors as well. Right. So Knicks, Mets, those are the colors. And also I did look at inspiration as like photos that I've taken of Bronx graffiti, specifically the mural in Whitlock and Lowell Street. And they're called the 718, area code of the Bronx. And it's also just like, that was part of my story. Like the whole thing is like, what is your story? And like the Bronx is part of my story. And also to shed light on like what's happening in the Bronx when it comes to gentrification and displacement.
Right.
Not just for us, like everyone in the Bronx, but like to the whole world as well. And like, why not take this opportunity to do that? Like, it's a collaboration with Nike.
Right.
So
they reached out to you, or how did exactly does this work? Like, you reach out to them, they reach out to you, or it just sort of, you had somebody that you all were connected to, and then this happened?
So I basically just saw an ad on Instagram calling for New York City designers. And I was like, I'm a New York City designer. And basically it was with this organization called Cultivator.
Cultivator, okay.
Yeah, so they basically kind of choose you and give you this opportunity to work with Nike and design sneakers with them. And I just applied. Like, I didn't really think much of it. I didn't think anything was gonna happen. And then later on, I was hit up. You know, they set up an interview, and I was chosen. And it was just like, okay, you're gonna design sneakers with Nike now.
That's awesome.
From there, I designed the sneakers. So Nike loved the sneakers so much and my story. So they chose me to be part of their upcoming campaign.
That's awesome.
Queens Take the Lead.
Wow.
So that's coming out on Monday 26th as well.
Monday 26th. Nike Queens Take the Lead.
Yeah.
That's very awesome. And so how long did it actually take you for these sneakers to come out? So from the moment you were chosen to them having just premiered, how long was that whole process?
So I was chosen like end of June.
Okay.
we were working on the sneakers, like design-wise and like figuring out marketing plan and, the timeline for it for about like whole month of July. Then this month, things just been like full speed ahead, like promo, content, photo shoots, and everything. I mean, it's still going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So are these available for a limited time, or are these sort of like?
So limited time.
Okay, limited time.
They'll
so
be
how long until we
selling
have?
until September 1st.
September 1st.
2 weeks.
Okay, 2 weeks. Awesome. And so you said that you saw the advertisement on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
It's like everyone's world now. So let's talk a little bit about social media. You spend a lot of time on it. You have to, especially if you have a brand, right? Of course. How much of social media takes up your day? Is it all day?
No, hopefully not.
But a lot of it, right? I'm assuming a lot of time.
But I just try to concentrate more like my work. Like that's like my thing right now. Like I really want to put on my work. I want to show people, because I feel like I haven't done that before. So like less just me with outfits and more of my work.
Right, right.
And I feel like social media was such a big part of even getting this, because that's how they saw my work when I applied for it. Especially recently, this last semester, I did a lot of New York inspired work. And I think that was one of the main things that got me into this. So for example, I did a collection of purses made of Metro cards.
Very cool.
And I also did another kind of collection of a makeup line based on New York City things and symbols, like the Knicks, Mr. Softee, the Bodega bags, stuff like that.
Right, very New York stuff.
So
very
like
iconic New York things.
Yeah, social media is very important, especially for designers, artists. You have business. It doesn't have to be this superficial thing about likes or followers. You could use it for your business.
Yeah, that's very true. So do you think that without social media, this might have not happened, or you would have been persistent enough to do it anyway?
I don't think it would have happened.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I wouldn't even have known about it if it wasn't for social media.
That's so interesting you say that, because for me that means that you've never been in a world without social media, right? Because everything is just like so connected to that, and how you could just know about things on the fly right away. I mean, I would assume that probably you would have still made it happen without social media, but it's such an integral part of our lives now that it's like, who's kidding who? Social media is like everything. And I preach a lot to people about like the things that I would like to see coming from the Bronx, on social media, because I feel like, I really do believe this. I feel like we dictate everything that people see about the Bronx. Yeah. Right? Because no matter which part of the world you're in, you can literally type in the hashtag Bronx, the Bronx, Bronx NYC, and people will see what's happening in the Bronx. And I always say, like, you got to put out content out there. You got to put out good content. Whether it's like, we were talking before about either landscapes or candids, the culture of the Bronx, or if you're a fashion designer or if you have a business, it's important to put it out there the same way that, any other borough does it. Because for so long it was like whatever was on Instagram, at least for me, wasn't the right type of Bronx culture. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't the thing that we were celebrating, or it wasn't the thing that, like so many people would be like, oh, you're from the Bronx, oh, it's this, it's that, or whatever, everything negative. Especially just like online in general. Right. If you just Google the Bronx, or like Google the Bronx or just put it on YouTube, it's just not. And then people would ask me like, what do you find so great about it? And I'm like, there's so much. It's just that for some reason there was this weird disconnect between social media and what the Bronx was really about. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was the wrong narrative.
Yeah.
You know, and so talk to me about that Bronx culture. Like, what do you feel needs to be put out there more on social media when it comes to the Bronx? Because, you know, you Google Brooklyn or you type in Brooklyn, you see certain things. You type in Queens, you see certain things. And then, of course, the Bronx, it's like, it's changing, but it's still,
Yeah.
we're not there yet. Like, what would you like to see more of in social media?
I feel like when it comes to visuals, there's like so much photography already. And like it's great photography and it shows the true Bronx culture.
Right.
I guess information just about like what's happening in the Bronx, what has happened, like correct information. I mean, overall, not just social media, like online, I feel like that's super
Just in
important.
general.
Yeah.
In general. Kind of like how these sneakers bring the idea of, you know, gentrification is a real thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? It's like, again, it's like fashion and politics are married in some way. This is bringing more awareness to that idea. Because some
Yeah.
people might just look at it and be like, oh, those are dope sneakers, and then like, that's it. You know, and sort of have no context on why they exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's important for you to use that art as a political statement as well.
Yes, definitely.
And that's what you're going to continue doing that, I'm assuming, going
Yeah,
forward.
of course.
With everything that you do. It's basically going to be a political statement on some level.
Political statement, just like showcasing the culture and taking ownership of it as well. You know, this is ours. It always has been, you know, for us, by us, basically.
Do you see yourself expanding outside of the Bronx?
Yes, just when it comes to New York.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
I do. Like when it comes to fashion, like I do.
You
But
still-
not just because I don't want to just continue with the Bronx, just because, you know, there's just so much more also.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
the reason I ask is because I think that I've had a lot of conversations with people who have asked them the same question. Do you see yourself stepping out of the Bronx? And it's this like back and forth.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, well, I mean.
Or
but
you're like a
we-
sellout or something.
It's like,
if you
don't
do it.
be afraid of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, for me, it's like, you don't have to stay here to be a part of its culture. You have to be sincere about what you do. And I feel like you can always grow and just expand. And then it's not an issue. You know, it's like if you completely turn your back on wherever you're from, that's when the issue might be a little bit different. But I feel like there's always room for expansion.
Yeah. And
Returning home, you
when
know,
it comes
in
to
that way.
fashion, it's just like, it's everywhere.
Right.
And
You
like
don't want to limit yourself.
Yeah, like New York City is the fashion capital. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. All right. So I'm going to hit you up with some three very important food questions, right?
Okay.
Since it's food related, the show. So I have three questions here. These three questions will basically dictate our relationship going forward. So whenever I see you next time, I'll be like, oh, you said this and that. Okay. So you have two options here: tostones or maduros.
Tostones.
Excellent. Do you pronounce it spaghetti or espagueti?
Both.
Great. And this is the one that really is going to either break us or pull us together. Mofongo or mango?
Mango.
Mango. Yes. You said it all right. That's perfect. Perfect. So I want to thank you for being on the show. Congrats on these sneakers. These look really amazing. So again, this was a collaboration between Nike and Cultivator. Do you have anything else coming up after these?
So I'm just working on a lot of projects. Can't really say specifically what, but definitely has to do with the same kind of message, the same kind of work. You know, just keep creating fashion-wise, you know, but with a purpose.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you for being on the show. I really
Thank you
appreciate
so much
it.
for having me.
Thank you so much. Guys, stay connected with Roselyn on Instagram at Roselyn Grullon and check out her 718 Nike sneakers by clicking the link in her bio or visiting the website below. We're taking a quick break. Foodie Down Bronx. We'll be right back.